Welcome to Trading Lounge and the US indices. We'll be looking at the S&P and some of the stocks on the Nasdaq and maybe one of the banks on the New York desk. And with the S&P here on the daily chart, basically we're looking for wave 4 to wave 5 up here. We're moving in 5 waves of intermediate 1 and 2 here, and then the blue intermediate wave 3 up here. And then we'll be looking for intermediate wave 4 here. So from intermediate wave 3, we're looking for 5 waves of minor degree of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for 5. So we're close to the top. So a couple of things here is that I think that we need to be prepared for moves either to the upside or to the downside. Technically, it looks like it is to the upside, but just to be doubly sure, we need some entries on the short side as well. So let's go in and have a closer look at this sort of area here, picking it up from this wave 4 here. Expand that out a little bit. So what we're sort of looking at so far here is that if we use this as the wave 3, wave 4 here, and then use this as wave 1 and 2 here, and then 3 up to here, and then this fits quite nicely so far as a triangle pattern, as an A and a B and a C and a D and an E for wave 4. So we should be looking to the upside here. Now, all that said and done, what we also need to do is we'll be looking for, if this trend line is breached here to the downside, we need to be on the short side then. We'll have a look at that on the, I think we'll look at it on the tick chart really. So just go straight into it, picking it up from this wave 4 here. So we've got this trend line to the low here, and it's possible now that we have an A wave in, a B wave here, C wave in 3 being a triangle, wave D and wave E here. So then up for 1 here and back for 2 here. So it's likely that we'll head up, but at the same time, I want to be sure that that we're covered for the downside here as well. So I think the way to approach the downside firstly is using the 72 here. 24.72. If that becomes the retested resistance, then gleaning a very small position on this side, and then if the trend line becomes the retested resistance as well, then you need to short from that point too. So the same with the trend line and the same with the trading level is that the market will come down, hit it, bounce back off it. You need to accommodate that or wait for that first, and then move through. And yes, it can keep going, but 90% of the time it tends to kick back and check the supply again, which is normally the trend line, and then down from there. So you have an entry in at this point here. So that's how you could treat this line through here. And of course, there will be a new line. So, well, this was the old line here, and that's pretty much keeping that intact here. And of course, we should be able to get a secondary line through there as well that will run into a few things. So on the upside here, if we just borrow this for a moment here, then I think we had an entry on this side here anyway before, so you may even be long, but most day traders wouldn't hold through the weekend anyway. But so I can't put this on any further on the price side there, but let's just think about this for a second. If this is an impulse wave to the downside, then this can be an A wave and a B wave and a C wave back up to here and then down again. So I'd be a little bit careful, because from this low we could have one spike up here and then down again, the same as this spike here, an A and a B and a C wave here and then down. So this here is also corrective as well, so it's highly likely that we're going to see this push up from here. So getting in a position before that happens, but with the idea in mind that it can move up to say 78 here, 24.78, and then work down from that point there, or it can just continue to move up from that point, so straight up here. So the safe trade would be taking out this top here, or finding a tested support on 78 And the riskier trades would be pretty much going in for it, say on 2475 as support, and then looking to build on that at that stage there. So I'll just put that on. It's not worth it. We've talked about it enough there. So because it's above the 72 area here too, it's we need to look on the positive side first. If it was under this side here, under the 72, well then we'll be looking for short trades first, but looking for this here. So there's a couple of things I want to look at here. First one, just one of the banks, is that JPM, just on the hourly chart here. A lot of the banks had this, or financial institutions in the US had this particular type of correction here. Now, some markets are doing things differently. Some are leading, some are following. Like Citigroup has moved, way beyond its point up here, and it's continuing much higher. Goldman Sachs hasn't taken the high out yet. It's still sort of approaching its 61.8% retracement level. And this market here, I've got I can count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 up here. There may be a bigger patterning happening, but we should expect this to somehow find its way up here in a sense as well. But all it needs to do is take out this top here and be roughly the same length as wave 1 here. So it could fail at 96.50 here, or 98, but normally they get sort of pulled up to those larger numbers. But just to bear in mind that what we need to do is count 5 waves up through here, and that's what we'll be doing. If I can take a punt at that here, I would call wave 4, move that here. I need to check this on the intraday though, but wave 1 and 2 here, and wave 3 here, and wave 4 here, and wave 5 here, something of that nature there for that. So I'll just put that back in there for the time being. That's a little bit more accurate. But what I'm trying to point out here is that this trend is not finished to the upside, so it's highly likely that we're going to see the S&P up there further. I can also draw attention to the Nasdaq stock, say the Apple here, in that the move up through here I don't think is complete yet as well. The extension's in wave 3 here with a nice 5-wave structure. So that means that wave 1 here and wave 5 would be roughly the same length. So I see Apple moving higher. I would have to sort of work out this a little bit more in here, but we should be getting up to the first level within group 2, and that's 65, so 165 at that point there. Google and Amazon are slightly different because they could already have tops in play here as far as I can see, because with Amazon here, wave 3, wave 4 here, then it's 1 and 2 and all the way up for 3 here, and A and a B and C for wave 4 to here, and then 5 waves up here. Now the only mistake wave 1 here is really small, so I'm not expecting much of wave 5 here because the extension's in wave 3 here. But it is possible that this could just be wave 1 up and wave 2 and then 3 and 4 and 5. We'll yet to see that, but I think that the Amazon one could actually even start its correction now. And the Google one's, Google Alphabet, is pretty much the same as well. So it didn't move much here. It's kind of interesting because from wave 3 here, this little ABC for 4 here and up for 5 here, just took that top out there. On this one here, this little pattern here, this one moved way up here higher. So that's why I've labelled this one in here now. But it's possible, as I've mentioned before, that can be 1 and 2 and then move up for 3, 4, and 5. It's possible at that point. I also need to point out too that there is a count here for Amazon and Google that can have a top of a trend in place. So it doesn't matter, they can still rally while the other guys are rallying, because they could come all the way back up to this space here before moving back down further from here. Do you know what I mean? And that will give the S&P time to finish. This is a daily chart here, so there is that time for that to occur here, and this move down here will meet support, and it is spending more and more time here, so it's churning and likely to turn onto the upside from that point there. So with Google and Amazon, they can pretty much sort of stick around the 1,000, while Apple pushes a little bit higher, the banks push a little bit higher, taking the S&P higher as well. I just want to have a look at, I'm just going to double check this as Apple on the tick chart here. Right. Just check the cash market with this too. It does appear that this is an A wave and a B wave and a C wave down to here. So it does appear to be corrective for this market. So this is also corrective this little bit here. So we should see this move up here further. Obviously the problem's going to come in at 158 and 160 and so on. Just double check this here. Yeah, well, see the 158 we call a profit-taking number, don't we? And it's also a 61.8% mark. So it'll push up to this point here. We'll double check it after this session, after the next session here, and we'll see how it's looking at that particular point there. But finding support on 158 here will take it up to 162 at least here. Alrighty, I'll leave it at that. Just trying to sort of figure out what would be pushing up, and so the banks and Apple on that side there, so that should keep it quite stable. Okay, cheers.